Today, I'm going to share with you the most important spy skill ever and how you can use it to make sure that you're not followed home, that you don't have a home invasion, you can protect your family. How do I know this important spy skill? My name is Jason Hanson. I'm a former CIA officer. I've got a wife and 6 kids, so it's very important to me to protect them, and I want to show you one of the ways I do that.
Please welcome back former CIA officer Jason Hanson.
Former CIA Jason Hanson.
This handsome fella is Jason Hanson. Okay.
This is Jason Hanson, former CIA guy.
So this critically important spy skill, the most important spy skill in the world that any intelligence operative learns, is called an SDR. It is surveillance detection route. So what the heck is an SDR? Well, let's just say in the spy world, you were working for the US government. You're trying to go over to Russia to recruit somebody. Well, you have a meeting with this person you're trying to recruit to spy for the United States. You are not gonna get in your car and go straight from point A to point B to get to that meeting. So let's just, to use something simple, let's say the meeting's at McDonald's. You're not gonna leave your house, drive straight to McDonald's to go have this meeting with this person you're trying to recruit. Why? Because if anybody follows you, then your head could get lopped off and so does the person you're trying to recruit who's Russian. So instead, you run a surveillance detection route. That means you might leave your house and then maybe you go to the gym and work out. Then maybe after that you go to Starbucks. Then maybe you pick up something for the dry cleaners. Then maybe you go to the grocery store and pick something up. You're doing all these different things, that way you can see if anybody's following you. So running all this surveillance detection route, you're able to ferry out people and say, hey, do I see the same person again? Do I see the same car again? Now, in the spy world, when you run a surveillance detection route, it has to make sense. So a simple kind of way I can explain it is, you can't just start driving everywhere going crazy, because then they're gonna know you're a spy, you're gonna have more surveillance on you, it's gonna become more of a problem. So everything you have to do looks natural and needs to be exactly like you were just an average Joe on the street. That means, again, we're still talking to spy. I'm gonna get to how we use this in our personal life here in about 60 seconds. But in the spy world, it's gotta look natural, everything's gotta add up. So you can't just go randomly or crazy places. So let's pretend it's somebody's birthday. You may go pick up a birthday cake. Then you may go to another place and get a balloon. Then you may go to another place and get presents. Then you may go somewhere else. So it all makes sense if surveillance is watching you. So that is a surveillance detection route in the spy world. So how can you and I use this? Well, it's very, very easy. And the reason it's so easy is we don't have to make anything make sense. So it doesn't matter if people pick up what we're doing. I'm gonna tell you a quick story about how my wife ran an SDR in Home Depot. I get a call from my wife. I was actually in Las Vegas doing some consulting. She says, hey, Jason, somebody's following me. So I said, okay, how do you know? I ran an SDR. Yes, that's the world we live in. She tells me these things. So I said, okay, tell me what you did. She says, well, I'm in Home Depot. There's this weird guy staring at me. So I'm in one of the aisles. Then I go to gardening. And a few minutes later, he shows up in gardening, the same aisle. Well, then I go to all the way across to lumber. Sure enough, he shows up in lumber. Then I go to look at washers and dryers. Sure enough, he's in washers and dryers. Well, by that time, you know you're being followed, right? You know, that's not a coincidence. And she said the guy wasn't shopping, meaning he didn't have a cart. He didn't look like he was doing anything that a natural shopper should. Well, since I was out of town, I said, just go tell a manager, make sure he walks you out to the car, make sure you run an SDR home and you're fine, and everything worked out. She was fine. We never saw the guy again. A woman I train, she was in the Macy's shoe department. She says, all of a sudden there's this creepy, weird guy staring at me kind of in the Macy's shoe department. And no single guy is gonna be in the Macy's shoe department unless your wife has dragged you there. So no guy by himself is gonna be there. Well, this woman said she went over to perfume. Sure enough, that guy quickly showed up with perfume. Then she went to look at some electronics. Sure enough, he showed up in electronics. Then she went to look at some women clothes. Again, this guy followed her there. So by now, she knows she's being followed. It just so happened there was a security guard close by. She went to the security guard, pointed out the guy, and the guy took off running out the front door of the Macy's shoe store. The guy took out running out of the front door of Macy's, never saw him again. So that is how easy it is to run a surveillance detection route in our normal civilian world. You don't have to be a ninja. You don't have to spend like 5 hours running an SDR or 2 hours running an SDR like you do if you are a real intelligence operative. So for example, I've got a wife, I've got 6 kids. I want to make sure I'm not being followed. When I'm driving home from work at night, I just make sure I'm not being followed. It takes 2 seconds to check my mirrors. And if I think somebody's following me, I can just start taking a variety of turns and I will quickly figure out, yes, I'm being followed. I mean, the world's quickest and easiest SDR you can do is if you think you're being followed, go around in a block. If you go around in a block and somebody's still behind there, well, guess what? You're being followed. Same thing on foot. SDRs you can run on foot. I've had people who said, hey, I was in the mall. I thought I was being followed in the mall. So all they did was start going in random stores. Well, if you're in the mall and people start following you into a store, what we call is an intrusion point, meaning the surveillance has to follow you in there. Well, and it's pretty darn obvious if you start going to random stores if you're being followed. I highly encourage you, start doing this, start using this, teach your friends and family. It is such a simple thing, and it stops home invasions. Because what do a lot of people do? And I mean, a lot of people, I say criminals, is they'll spot somebody. They'll just pick a target. I know people have, been spotted and said, hey, that guy's got driving a Porsche. She's gonna be rich. Or I was in the grocery store and saw this woman's huge diamond ring. Let's follow her home. So if you're driving a Porsche or have a huge diamond ring, or for whatever reason, you're out one day and a criminal spots you and says, that person looks rich or that person looks like they have something at home, they're gonna follow you home. That's what criminals do. You want to pay attention to make sure you're not being followed home. And it is so easy because all you're doing is taking turns. Now, the vast majority of the time, you're not gonna be followed, but if it is that one time you run a surveillance detection route and it saves your life, obviously it's worth it. One time I was coming home from work and I'm thinking I'm being followed. So I start taking turns and this car is matching every single turn I am taking. So finally, and I don't recommend this for everybody, finally I'm like, all right, I know there's a dead end there. I'm gonna spin around. I gotta see what's going on, get the license plate, get the person, and basically confront them. Not saying it's the wisest thing to do, but that's something I would do. So I immediately start bolting or driving to the end of this cul-de-sac, looking at my rearview mirror, and the car that's been following me turns onto this cul-de-sac and then turns into the very next house, opens their garage, and the person gets out and goes in their house. That was just one of those 1 in a million coincidences where that person took the exact same turn that I've been taking. Obviously, that's not gonna happen a lot, but it did, but I'm still glad I ran a surveillance detection route. So please keep this in mind. I hope you learned a little something. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification button. You're gonna learn a lot more spy secrets that could save your life right here. God bless you, God bless your family.